Last E3, Bethesda took many by surprise when they announced a follow-up to 2006's Prey. Now Arcane Studios, the team behind Dishonored, is taking a crack at the franchise. So, is it worth it? Let's find out. Prey is a bad game. Its combat is clunky, the story is dull, and the presentation is flat. But its most alarming mistakes are difficult to express. In almost every aspect, it lacks the intangible elements that produce entertainment, shambling through its 23-hour campaign without connecting to the player or incentivizing action. In short, Prey is boring. In the year 2033, mankind has created a home in the stars. Inside the orbiting colony Talos 1, a collective of scientists push the boundaries of human evolution. But when the alien test subjects known as Typhoon break free, the residents are quickly eliminated. With little chance of survival, Morgan Yu embarks on a suicide mission to destroy Talos 1 before the Typhoon can reach Earth. But with her memories afflicted by amnesia and her brother Alex attempting to recover the station, Morgan will need to embrace her strange new abilities to overcome the violent creatures. Prey's story is a sloppy collection of worn-out sci-fi cliches, an experiment gone wrong, an amnesic protagonist, and emotionless killer aliens. There is one interesting wrinkle in the form of January, an artificial intelligence containing all of Morgan's memories, but this opportunity is squandered as January simply barks orders towards the next objective. In fact, there are hardly any characters to speak of. Oh sure, there's a few survivors, audio logs, and dozens of emails to read, but these interactions are mostly stiff procedural information or inconsequential bickering. Prey attempts to rationalize this monotone storyline with a late-game twist, and while that may explain away many of the plot's issues, it doesn't excuse the tedious campaign. And without a meaningful objective beyond the first couple of hours, Prey's gameplay is a tired slog through poorly lit corridors. Right away, the first-person controls are awkwardly unresponsive. Much of this is due to the mushy dead zone and swimmy movement, where directional input is never consistent. Though this rarely interferes with accomplishing missions, it makes the general activity of walking or running unenjoyable. And the combat doesn't fare much better. Prey encourages a degree of stealth in each encounter, as most of the Typhoon can easily overpower Morgan in a direct battle. Fortunately for her, the available arsenal of wrenches, pistols, shotguns, and grenades can chip away at specific alien weaknesses. Scanning enemies to reveal their vulnerabilities is essential to survival, not only to crack opponent defenses, but also unlock a large collection of supernatural abilities. Is a barricade blocking your path? Simply transform into a smaller object and slip through the cracks. Guns not doing the trick? Unleash an explosive fire through psychic powers. Problem is, the creatures aren't all that interesting. With the exception of the tiny mimics that impersonate common items, most enemies are nondescript aliens and floating robot boxes, all of which take an exorbitant amount of damage without reacting to the majority of attacks, even when using the correct weapon. Of course, avoiding conflicts altogether is sometimes the best option, but more often than not, Prey's tight hallways push players directly into encounters. Outside of combat and stealth, Morgan spends most of her time wandering the damaged remains of Talos 1, hacking computers, collecting keycards and items to access new locations or complete side missions, which is made all the more difficult due to the finicky waypoint system and lengthy load times between environments. What's strange is Prey does introduce some interesting ideas early on, neither of which are fully developed. The zero-gravity environments are both liberating and intimidating in their freedom, allowing players to float through the wreckage. The platform-creating goo gun sticks climbable blobs to nearby walls, creating nifty shortcuts or temporarily pacifying enemies. Despite being far more engaging than the regular gameplay, these mechanics are rarely a viable option. Visually, Prey is a letdown. While the game's lighting and graphics are certainly impressive, the art direction is disappointingly dry. Talos 1 is meant to be a collaborative effort between the Soviet Union and the United States, originally started in the 1960s. The locations do a good job of realizing that vision, but once the initial charm wears off, the sterile surroundings and uniform design add little to exploration. Prey's bass and percussive soundtrack is also forgettable. Though it's clearly meant to build tension and anxiety, it mostly lingers in the background, adding little to the atmosphere. So, is it worth it? No. Prey's stale narrative, laborious gameplay, floaty controls, and plain environments make for a boring experience. There are a few redeeming qualities here, but they're never given a chance to grow. Prey's insistence on replicating other sci-fi classics results in a lackluster imitation. Prey is currently available on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC for $60. If you've had a chance to play it, let me know what you thought, and if you haven't, let me know if you plan on picking it up. My name is Colin Tanner, and I'll see you in the next video.